And today we're going to do a little maintenance on my Sears Kenmore water softener. And being in Florida, you can have these outside because you don't have to worry about the thing freezing. And you'll also notice I did sink it in the ground about 3 feet. So that way during hurricanes it's relatively secure. And I recommend when you get these that you take a Sharpie and you write on the back which way the valve goes to be bypassed. Right now it's set to flow through the filter or the softener, and I saw a couple videos because before this thing just wouldn't regenerate, and I don't know if it was just simply that, but since I've gone this far, because I do keep it under a 50-gallon plastic drum to keep it out of the weather. In years past, you can see the sun's kind of taking a little bit of a toll on it, so I'm going to go ahead and start with the bottom half, which siphons in, before I go to the mechanism top half, and I'm going to make sure all the inlets are clear. So I took the lower end out of the well there, and there's the float, and this thing you're supposed to set every time you do your stuff. And you got this little shut-off valve mechanism, and there's 2 clips. So one's a C clip, and one's like, I don't know, that's more like a circlip, and then this one slides out. And I'm going to take that off, and then I'm going to set it up where I can kind of clean it. That's step 1. And that's what it looks like on the inside when you take the 2 clips off. A lot of O-rings. These all seem in good shape. And then this little float valve shuts off. You know, the float determines what it's going to let flow through, and then the water comes up into your machine. So far so good. Everything seems clean. I'm just going to wash this out real quick, and I don't know if that's a screen down there. Actually not. I'll just clean this real quick and put it all back together. And here we are on the upper end now, and we got this little, they call it the Venturi in all the videos, there's a screen in here and everything, and this tube comes from the lower end, so it siphons in, and you'll notice there's like another one of those little C-clips here. So I'm just going to pop that off, remove this. I'm going to blow through this to make sure I got nothing blocking that. Then I'm going to clean this. Like I said, the other one I took apart, nothing really in there, and I just cleaned it and put it back in. And another reason we took that little hose off that was right here, and we could kind of blow into it. Remember, there's a little valve on the end of it with a float, so it's going to shut down, but I could feel the valve moving, so I know that line's clear. And when I take this all apart and line all the parts up in this little pan, it's one of those things, if you've ever worked on something and you have one little tiny part and then all of a sudden, oops, yeah, I didn't want to drop it in all that salt. And in order of appearance, I took the cap off first. You'll notice there's an O-ring. I rinsed that out. Then there's this little gizmo, notice the notch for the screen and for that little ring, and I washed that out. No O-ring there. Make sure they get lined up. And out of the base, we got this little gizmo. So I pulled that out. I'm going to clean that off in a moment. You know, take that little O-ring, I can kind of see through it. I'm going to take it out anyways, just double check it. And then we got this little washer that everybody talks about. And pardon that little horn, car horn you just heard, that's how people across the street tell their wife they love them and wish they'd hurry up. And so I got that little gasket out. Notice the screen, but that's all clean. And then we have the housing itself, and got that little port right there, and I'm just going to blow through this a few times, make sure it's clear. And as we reassemble it, you notice this gasket has like a bow tie in the middle. That's so you can put a pair of needle nose pliers in there and twist it around to get those grooves to line up. And before I put this next piece in, I wanted to bring your attention to the underside of it. See how there's these little channels cut in there for fluid flow? Well, I happen to have this, and this is a piece out of an automatic transmission. Notice it also has a notch in it. But on the other side, I guess there's something drops in here, and then the fluid exchanges between different areas. So that's the same concept. And again, notice how nice and clean everything was. I'm just going to put that housing back on and reinstall this. And there you have it, all buttoned up, ready to go. More intimidating than it actually is, so that's a good thing. And when I mounted this thing outside, I ran some conduit here. See the gray conduit? And that's where I had the plug. So basically at this point now, everything's right there. I can disconnect it at any time. And once I put that 50-gallon drum back over this, I got a nice housing for it. So hope you enjoyed, hope you learned something.